Hi guys, Happy New Year. I can't believe it's 2024 already. I feel like 2023 went by just like that. So today I kind of wanted to slow it down and kind of take a stroll down memory lane and a look at some of the projects that we did over here because we had quite a few projects going on back to back. And when you are just constantly go, 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 it's really easy to kind of forget all the things that you did. So I know I always like to say sometimes you need to look back in order to move ahead. And that's what we're going to do today. So grab a drink, get comfy. Here we go. I have my coffee here. So for those of you that don't know, Dirt and Dish started at the suggestion of Mo, my brother, and some friends. They knew how much I enjoyed gardening and cooking and baking and puttering around in the kitchen and the garden. So they were like, why not? Why not document yourself and just put it out there for people to see and learn from? And when I actually stopped and thought about it, I thought, you know what? That's not a bad idea. Why not? Why not use a platform to share what I'm doing and what my experiences and failures and successes are, and get to interact with all of you and hear what works for you, what's not working, or learning from you and being like, hey, you know what, I watched you do it this way, but maybe you should try it that way. And you guys have like really interacted with me and I've learned a lot from you and it's great. And that's exactly what I was hoping to do. And that's how Dirt and Dish started. So I ended up going out, buying a camera, a microphone, went out into the backyard and shot my first video, which was glazing terracotta pots to make them waterproof. And I thought that was a good video because I was cleaning up around the house and I pulled a planter, a pot out off of a table, and there was a water ring around it. And I just kind of like, you know what? Like, this is just great. I'm like, I got to figure this out. And so that's how I got the idea for doing the first video. It went up on June 5th. I was so nervous filming it. I actually filmed it twice because the first time it was just a complete and utter disaster. And when I was editing it, I was like, oh, no, this can't go up. So I took everything back out and redid the whole thing and it went up, and it actually was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of a learning experience. I have no experience in filming, editing, audio, lighting. I just kind of do what I do, but when you do it in front of a camera, it's totally different. And it ended up being a lot of fun and I really, really enjoyed it. And the comments and the interaction that I got from you guys was really positive. Like, you guys were like, oh yeah, that was so helpful. That's genius. Why didn't I think of it? That's such a simple, easy, inexpensive way to do things. And it was just a lot of fun to share with you how I did it. And that was my first video. And I was so proud and so excited and so scared because when you put yourself out there on the internet, yeah, you really put yourself out there, but you guys have been great. And from that first video on, it's just been so much fun. In July, we decided that we needed to redo the retaining wall on the south side of our house, which runs from the middle of the backyard all the way to the front yard. And I was a little hesitant on that because my dad built that wall with my godfather in the 70s, and that thing lasted for decades. But eventually, over time, it started to lean over towards our neighbor's fence and into their property. So we figured, you know what? Before this completely falls over and ends up in their yard, let's just get this done. So we met with our contractor and got on the schedule, and we were all set to get the retaining wall done. And that meant it was transplant time, and we had to transplant, I think, hydrangeas and a blueberry bush and a lot of shrubs and stuff in the front flower beds, because not only were they going to redo the retaining wall, they were also going to regrade and re-edge the two front flower beds and remove sod from one of the beds. So there was a lot of stuff happening all at once, including a swale being added on to the backyard to kind of help with drainage, because the backyard would pretty much kind of turn into a river whenever we had a lot of rain. So this was probably our biggest project in 2023. And so July, I spent all of July just transplanting shrubs back into nursery containers. I took the blueberry bush out of the ground, put it in a container. It's actually still in a container right now. The hydrangeas, those were my mom's, and they had been in the ground for probably 30 years or more. And so getting those out there was, getting them out of the ground was very, very hard because they had really rooted in there. But it was also fun because I got to film with Mo, and anytime I film with Mo, it's so much fun. And so we spent, I think, the better part of the day just trying to dig these shrubs out of the ground. And his mom actually ended up taking them, so that they're over there in her yard now and they are doing well. And so that pretty much was the tone for July, is just getting everything out of the ground on the side of the fence in the backyard and everything in the front flower beds in preparation for the retaining wall, because I had no idea just how involved this whole process was going to be. And so I figured, you know what, let them have a clean slate and they can just have freedom to kind of just do what they do best. And that's what they did. So the retaining wall project was set to start at the end of July, but we ended up getting bumped to mid to late August. And that left me with a couple extra weeks to kind of make sure that all the areas were free and clear, so when the contractor showed up, there was nothing in their way. And that also gave me a little bit of time to check out the clearance rack at my local Lowe's, and that is where I scored some amazing plants. I found Little Lime hydrangeas, limelight hydrangeas, sweet romance lavenders, white ones veronicas, and a Danica globe arborvitae. So I loaded them all up in the Jeep, brought them home, and I thought, you know what, this would be a good project to film for you guys and show you step by step what I do whenever I bring plants home from the clearance rack, because they are stressed and struggling and you kind of sort of don't know exactly what's happening to them. It could be just overwatering, underwatering, they could be root bound, or they could be stressed out and suffering from like a pest infestation or a fungal infection. So I set up a camera and I set up my little tables and my little makeshift workshop / laboratory, and just went through all the steps on how I like to diagnose and treat whatever I think is happening to these plants. And I mean, I was just trimming away, smelling soil, and it was just a fun afternoon of just being able to share with you guys how I kind of like to rescue clearance rack plants. And that video was my most watched video of 2023. I don't know why, I don't understand the algorithms, but I was so thrilled that you all enjoyed it. And the comments that I got from that, I can't even tell you how amazing and wonderful that made me feel. And I had such fun being able to share that with you, and what I got back from you guys in return from that video was tenfold. It was amazing. So thank you guys so much for that. So the Rescuing Clearance Rack Plants video went up at the beginning of August, and by mid-August, the retaining wall project was starting. So I grabbed a couple cameras and I set them up all over the place, and I wanted to document and film as much of this as I could because this was the biggest project that we had for 2023. And so I wanted to share with you guys a day-by-day vlog of what actually is entailed and how it actually feels to take on a project of this magnitude. And I'm the type of person where, okay, we're at point A, let me know when we're at point C. I don't want to really have to deal with point B. And that's where Mo thrives. Mo thrives in that point B section because he knows everything that like needs to get done. He can communicate with the contractors and everybody, and he has no problem with any of that. Whereas I'm like, okay, let me know when we're done. But in this project, I thought, you know what? Step out of your comfort zone a little bit, Lexus, and get into the nitty-gritty of it. So I actually did. I jumped in and I was right there with Mo and, you know, dealing with the contractors and all of the things that were just kind of happening and unfolding, and any little hiccups along the way. Normally I'm like, I don't want to know. But in this project, I thought, you know what? No. I'm going to deal with it too. And I was able to learn a lot, and I kind of conquered a little bit of a fear, I guess, because like I said, I'm the point A to point C. I don't want to deal with all that stuff in the middle. And it was actually a good learning experience for me. And I I hope you guys enjoyed it because that was such a fun project to do, and just being able to share it with you day by day and share the experience and show you this is what actually this is what happens in a project. It doesn't just, run smoothly and you get to see a 5 or 10 minute time lapse of, one project where the wall is being taken down and then the wall goes up. No, there was a lot more in the middle, and it was so much fun sharing it with you guys. And that pretty much wrapped up the end of August. So now we're in the beginning of September. The retaining wall project is done. The front flower beds have been re-edged. The sod has been removed. All the dust has settled, and it is a clean slate, and I am ready to plant. And the first thing that I planted was the sky pencil holly hedge right along the retaining wall in the front yard. And you guys, I cannot tell you how excited I was to finally be able to plant some trees in the ground. So I took you guys along for this entire project. I showed you how I regraded that area. I showed you step by step how I measured out the distance of the plants, how I planted them, what I put in the holes, and then took you on a little tour of how everything looked in the end. And I was so happy with that project because that is a project that everyone is going to see because it's in our front yard. So I wanted that hedge to look precise and meticulous and evenly spaced from beginning to end. And it turned out so great, and you guys all enjoyed it, and I thank you again so much. So the next area that I was able to plant in were the 2 front flower beds, and I was able to utilize a bunch of the plants from the clearance rack video. I started with the bed on the right side of the house, right next to the sky pencil holly hedge and the retaining wall, and I started with the 3 limelight hydrangeas, and you guys, it was so satisfying to finally be able to get some shrubs in the ground, and not just any shrubs. These were flowering. They were in bloom. They looked beautiful, and they were part of the clearance rack. So we kind of helped them along their way, and they thrived in there. And it was so fun to finally see color in there and in the other bed and just get some evergreen interest in there. We planted a dwarf Colorado spruce, a dwarf Alberta spruce, some boxwoods, and over time I just packed that thing full of so many beautiful things, and I can't wait for next season because it's going to be amazing. And that leads us to the end of September, where the emerald green arborvitae hedge went in right along our fence line on the north side of our house by the driveway in the backyard. And I had been looking forward to this for so long, to be able to add some evergreen interest to our yard, because we are in desperate need of evergreens in our yard, at least in my opinion, and also give a little bit of privacy and screening and some structure to it. It was amazing. And it was another video that I got to film with Mo. We spent the whole day out there, and bleh. And that was a great way to end September and go right into October, where I started a mixed border hedge on the back side of our backyard and planted some emerald green arborvitaes, some hydrangeas, some summer sweets, and just kind of let that whole back area on the back side of our house, just kind of let that be a little bit more natural and free and wild and woody feeling, because I figured, we have the formal hedge on the one side with the emerald green arborvitaes. I didn't want all of that formality surrounding the entire property. I wanted a lot more woodland, natural, free flow feeling, and so that's what prompted the mixed border hedge. So now we're into autumn. It's the beginning of November. The holidays are coming, and I got to spend a little more time in the kitchen and share with you my rice pudding recipe, my mom's caramelized sweet potatoes. We spent some time in the backyard planting bulbs, but the big project for me in November was being able to set up the raised garden beds. So we ordered the deep root cedar raised beds from Gardener Supply. We got 3 3x4 beds and 2 3x6 beds. They arrived in perfect condition in a matter of days. And so we just decided, you know what, we're going to spend a day on a weekend and set them all up. We took some cameras out back, set up a couple tables, and it took us about 20 to 25 minutes to set up the first bed because we followed the directions. They're very easy to follow. We just took our time and wanted to make sure that we put the first bed together properly so we didn't have to disassemble it or put a screw in the wrong area or whatever. And once we got the first bed done, the rest flew by, and it was a great project to film. And seeing those raised beds in the garden, oh, you guys, that just ramped me up. I'm ready to start planting next season. And that leads us to December. And December started off with Shuey having to have surgery for a gland issue. And I posted that on the community tab section on YouTube because I knew that we weren't going to have a video for the next few days, and I wanted you guys to know why. And you guys expressed your concern and sent such wonderful well wishes for Shuey that it really touched my heart. I just thought that was so sweet and so kind. And so I wanted to give you guys an update on Shuey. So I grabbed the camera one day when I had him in the backyard on a leash and he had his little e-collar on, and just gave you a quick update on him so you guys would know that he was doing great and he was on the road to recovery and he's totally fine now. And I was really touched by all of the concerns and all of the well wishes and everything. It was just really, really nice to read all those comments. Thank you so much for that. We ended December with an impromptu road trip to Baltimore to pick up some free terracotta pots. I found a woman on Facebook Marketplace who was giving away a whole bunch of terracotta pots. So I thought, you know what? Let's go get them. We jumped in the car and we decided we were going to make a morning of it. We went to our favorite bagel place and got our favorite bagels. We drove to Baltimore where we met the most amazing woman. She was so kind and so sweet. Hi, Diane. And we brought them all back home. I went through all of them, cleaned them out, scrubbed them, sanitized them, and did a final count. And what I thought was going to be 150 plus terracotta pots ended up being over 300 terracotta pots. With the deduction of some of the broken ones, I ended up with 277 terracotta pots, and that was a great way to end 2023. And that leads us to today, the beginning of 2024, and being able to look forward at everything that we'd like to get done this year. I know the biggest thing for me is I want Mo to get his shed. He has been wanting it and looking forward to it for so long that my fingers are crossed. I hope we can get this done for him. For me, it's being able to just get more things in the ground and being able to garden in these garden beds and just kind of putter around the garden and in the kitchen and just be able to share it with you guys, and just the interaction and the knowledge and the motivation and inspiration that I get from doing this and from hearing from you guys and learning from you guys. That's what I'm most looking forward to continuing in 2024. So here's to an amazing 2023 and an even better 2024. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am so appreciative of all of your support for this channel, for following, for liking, for subscribing, for sharing the videos. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.